without a whole lot of technical talk, we need a definition for system. And naturally, I wanted to go to the Webster's Dictionary, and these are 4 of several definitions given to the word system. Notice that a system is a group. There's always a group of whatever involved in a system. A group of interacting, interrelated, or independent elements forming or regarded as forming a collective entity. Well, so much for Greek. Let's make it simple. My body, your body is a system. Well, that's a group of what? It's a group of systems. What kind of nervous system? Cardiovascular system. You listening? Gastrointestinal system. We have all of these systems that together make up the system. And you and I are just a microcosm of this planet. This planet is a vast system of systems. We can talk about birds, we can talk about insects, we can talk about trees, we can talk, And some people are educated enough to understand that these are systems, that it would be nice to have no bugs on the planet, or would it? Because there might not be a planet, not life on one. Because who eats the bugs? And the lizards, and the whatever, and the whatever. And then who eats the lizards? And then who eats and who eats? We're part of a system, folks. And I sent an invitation to you with this headline, "The system is collapsing." What system am I referring to first? The planet. This system is collapsing. How and why? Well, what was Adam made of?
Dirt.
From this rock, right here. And he was told plainly by God, if you disobediently, foolishly, whatever, if you eat or touch, what does it say? What will be the consequence? It actually says dying, ing, a process will begin, dying, thou shalt die. Okay? So every day, you and I are dying until finally I'm beginning to feel it. Preachers come along and tell me, you have eternal life. I haven't felt it yet. I am feeling the consequences of that warning back there in the garden. I am waiting to feel the consequences of the promise. If that sounds heretical, I'm sorry, but that's reality. There's no denial going on here. Okay? If Adam was made of dirt and you and I are made of dirt, it says ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Okay, we're going back to dust. Well, what about the rock? The description in Genesis of this rock is that it was without form and void. If you'll read Jeremiah and read Revelation, do you know what it's coming back to? Without form and void. The Greek in the book of Revelation says the abyss. It's the same as without form and void in the Old Testament. This rock is going to come back to what it was, just like Adam is going to go back to what he was. This planet is dying. Al Gore caught a little whiff of it. And he's trying to tell everybody, hey, you can't just keep going the way you're going because the rock's dying. And it is. I'm kind of a nature freak. I'm a greenie. Okay? I always have loved nature. Doesn't matter if it's trees, flowers, shrubs. When I get off the plane in Australia, it's a totally different world. There's nothing from the rest of the world there. Everything's weird. And these Aussies grew up with it, so to them it's not weird. It's normal. And I try to tell them over and over again, you guys are weird. This place is weird. I say to my friend, we're driving from the airport. What kind of tree or flower is that? That's a near rhoda. I said, what's a near rhoda? He said, that's just a few feet from the road. He doesn't know. What does he care? Weeds are weeds. Bugs are bugs. Okay? But if you're a greenie, if you're a nature freak, life is precious. My wife will tell you, without smiling, that if I see a spider in the house, I go and I collect him and put him outside.
Lucky spider.
He's lucky that my wife wasn't there without me. Okay? Life is precious. I feed the birds, and you know that is plus squirrels plus. Okay. But I feed the birds. I love to watch the birds, count the birds, become acquainted with their songs, their behavior. And the birds love me because every morning at 6 o'clock I put feed out for them. If I'm there, and if I'm not, then I leave the feed all made up per day's share and with instructions. Feed my birds. Okay? Now, birds have a way of life that, depending on where you are on the planet, we're talking about latitude, they migrate. It's a seasonal migration. When cold weather comes, they go south, smart birds. When warm weather comes, they go back to their traditional nesting grounds. Birds come back, just like salmon, to where they were hatched. I'm not telling you anything, but I'm going to tell you something. 4 years ago, I had between 35 and 43 pair of indigo buntings nesting. That's just one species, one bird, okay? And the only way I can take a census is I count all the blue ones that are on the ground at the same time, and I had between 35 and 43 pair. 2 years ago, I had 3 pair. This year I have 1 pair. Where have they gone? If you'll do a little homework and talk to the guys who do the homework, they will tell you that there are not enough fish left in the ocean to repopulate themselves. Oh, well, that's just... No. You didn't hear what I said. There are not enough sharks to repopulate. There are not enough cod to repopulate. There are not enough salmon to repopulate, to regenerate. I'm trying to tell you the system is collapsing. Any part of it you want to talk about? This rock is dying. And judgment prophesied in this book is withheld in heaven by God on purpose until the planet is approaching 0 hour, 0 life left. And God calls judgment into session and says, it is the voice and will of the community. You're the community. Shall I send a lifeboat? Now, if you were living on Pleasant World number whatever out there, and you had been watching 6,000 years of evening news on this Pleasant World number whatever, and God said, I have a plan. My plan is to bring those folk up here. How say ye?
Send the boat.
Send the boat? Which way is it going? What, if you were living on Pleasant World number so-and-so, what guarantee would you want in this vote-taking time? What guarantee would you want? What?
They won't destroy it.
What I want you to guarantee me, us, is they're not going to bring that rot up here.
Amen.
What rot is it? It's a disease. It's a terminal disease. Have you ever seen a drunk, a druggie, and he gets religion and he straightens up? And after a while, what does he do? Too many times. Come on, what does he do? Falls back. If you were on world number so-and-so, would you want some assurance these guys are not going to go back to their old ways? Now, all of this has been shadowed for us in the Scripture. We didn't see it, we didn't recognize it, but it was there as plain as the nose on your face. Here's this wild kid, Daddy, I want to go to town and play. And you owe me. Give me my money. He wound up with pigs. And then one day he just comes home. And what did his brother say? Come on. Who is the brother, by the way? No. We're the wild kid. We're the rotten bunch. We're the pigifiers. Come on. What did the brother say? I stayed here. I worked in the field. I was always faithful to you. You never threw a party for me. And oh, by the way, when we get there, God says, I'm going to throw a party for them all. Are you listening? Do you understand reality? We're talking reality here. We're talking about people who have not been tainted with this disease. And God has made it plain in this book, and I'm sure plain to them, that He has every intention of bringing us up there. And I don't think it's out of the way for them to ask for assurances. And I want to tell you how tainted we are. Jesus said, nothing of you is getting in. The only way you will ever pass through those gates and into those doors and into that land is there will be a new you. And the one who made you to begin with is the only one who can make a new you. And will you be new on the outside? Oh yes. Where else will you be new? Is that really needed? So when I say to you, I'm convinced we're not going to live out our natural lives. That's what I mean. And all those folk on the planet who are listening to Brother Wheeling this morning, they're saying, Yahoo! We don't want them to live out their natural lives. They're welcome here when their natural lives are over. Does that make any sense to you at all? A great transformation has to take place. It has been thousands of years in the making and the coming and the promising and the waiting and all of that. It has been thousands of years to get us here, and it's going to appear as though it's happening suddenly. No, it's not happening suddenly. It's the ED of the dying, ing, that started way back there. Okay? Look at the date. Midnight. Interesting. And it was midnight. September 14, 2008. Most of you were alive at that time. President George W. Bush occupied the White House. an amazing prediction written years earlier was fulfilled at that fateful hour on that fateful day, right here. America's precipitous slide toward national bankruptcy began, a slide which, in spite of trillions of U.S. dollars printed since, and if Congress has its way and Bernanke has his way, we're about to print a few trillion more. Nothing has reversed this downward slide, this process. Look at the date. That's important. Why is that important? Well, let's see if we can get a visual here. Now, I've already put myself on record. I'm in hot water. And I've already said summer, fall, 2011. I believe we're going to war. Of course, with Iran. I think that's Daniel 8. Well, what does that mean? We have markets around the world that are shaky. Not just U.S. markets. Global markets are shaky. Oh, Chinese markets are not, then you're not reading. China is experiencing and enjoying a bubble. I am thoroughly convinced that we're on the way as a result of this crisis, and it's going to be a multi-headed crisis. It's going to be economic. It's going to be social. It's going to be food crisis for all kinds of natural reasons, and add to that man-made reasons. This crisis, I believe, is going to take place real soon, this year. And if that's true, then in 2012, you and I and the world will see a new world order. It will happen. Well, what if it doesn't happen? I'll send you a postcard. I will rejoice. I will be so thankful.
Amen.
I'm no glutton for punishment. I don't want it to happen. But I want to tell you, I crisscross several times a year the United States, back and forth, several times a year. And in the last 2 years, I can tell you that there are places in this country, especially mid-America, where I'm seeing vehicles with federal whatever painted on the sides of them and on the back of them. And I have never heard of these agencies before. I don't know who these people are. I just see federal. And I can tell you that there is a great natural barrier in this country. It's called the Mississippi River. And there are only a few places from Canada to Mexico or the Gulf of Mexico where one can cross the Mississippi River. And I want to tell you, because I'm crossing some of those few places several times a year, on this side of the river, police multiplying. And on that side of the river, police multiplying. Why? Because when we go to war with umpteenth war number so-and-so in the Middle East, there will be repercussions. There will be terrorist activity in this country. It will happen. It will happen virtually overnight. They may bomb our power stations and our dams. Be sure they're going to bomb the malls. Perhaps the stadiums. Be sure they're just going to drive across these western dry states and just roll the window down and toss matches. Are you folk listening? You ain't seen nothing yet. And when this process begins, and it's coming, when this process begins, Charlie is not going to be free to get on the road and just drive to Denver. Who are you? What is your business? Where are you going? Prove you were born and not hatched. We're on the way. No, this is not the end. The end is yet to come. We'll talk about this. We'll look at this. We'll consider this. But
Charles, are we in the time of the end of it?
it is possible, only possible, that the time of the end started right there. I want to show you the amazing prediction written 100 years before this that was fulfilled, and I believe will be fulfilled again even more completely, but very completely right here. Here it is. It's found in the book The Great Controversy on page 338. Here it is. When the luxury of the world becomes the luxury of the church, when the marriage bells are chiming and all are looking forward to many years of credit cards. Worldly prosperity. Did you ever believe in your life they would be sending you 7 applications in one day, free credit cards, and oh, by the way, you have a $5,000 credit line, $10,000 credit line, $20,000 credit line? Do you know who they sent these invitations to? Kids in high school and college. How long ago was this? When the luxury of the world becomes the luxury of the church, when the marriage bells are chiming and all are looking forward, look, to many years of what? Worldly prosperity, then. Here it is. When? Then. Suddenly, as the lightning flashes from the heavens, will come the end of their bright visions and delusive hopes. Midnight, September 14, 2008. Paulson, Bernanke, whoever the gang of whatever was there, were in front of the president at midnight. And they said, Mr. President, if you don't sign this, the party's over. I happen to believe that was true. Oh, I believe Wall Street prospered and sent out their $1 billion bonus checks. That's going to go on till Jesus gets here. You know. And people will say, oh, those people on Wall Street got paid all those millions of dollars. But they go and pay $200 to watch a baseball game and grown men hit a ball around who are getting paid $5 million a year. Skip it. It's called denial. Bad Wall Streeters, wonderful ball players. Do you understand? The party, listen, folk, the party is over. Some things are going to happen to make people think, because they always live in denial and they always want to believe it's going to get better. We'll talk about that. It's going to turn at a certain point, and it's going to look bright, and it's going to look good. And when they shall say peace and, it actually says in the Greek, prosperity. And when they shall say peace and prosperity, sudden destruction comes. Let's go on. I could gather and share literally hundreds of fearful headlines since that date in 2008. Headlines warning of America's coming economic collapse. Headlines screaming at Americans to save their wealth, save themselves from the economic earthquake and tsunami that lies just ahead. I brought a few headlines along. The worst is yet to come. If you're not petrified, you're a dummy. But that's 2009. The whole concept of the economy finds its footing was preposterous to begin with, says Howard Davidowitz. Now, the name Davidowitz, what does that suggest? Jewish. Money. Right. And he has associates. And he says the whole thing was preposterous. You're trying to save the day. You're trying to save the party. America's coming super depression. Once again, 2009. Just hold on. A warning to America and to the world. When the financial superstorm arrives, the administration will no longer be able to lie to the public and say all is well and recovery has begun. I'm so glad there are no lies or liars in Washington. It will be difficult for the media to successfully tell the general public that things are okay when the people are starving and eating out of garbage dumpsters. Take a moment, take a peek, because we're about to turn a DVD on for you. It's just 20 minutes. I have a copy for you. Believe me, you want a copy. Oh, 2011. Martin Weiss, a doomsday scenario. Today you're going to hear Martin Weiss in person on the DVD. A broad range of government payments stopped, limited, or delayed, including military salaries, Social Security and Medicare payments, interest on debt, unemployment benefits, and tax refunds. My words, not a single one, he says. They're all taken directly from a widely distributed Treasury Department letter dated exactly 1 week ago. Now that's back in May. Here's Bernanke, here's Tim Geithner, here are the voices, and they're now on the evening news saying, you boys better pass raising the debt limit bill. You better do it, because if you don't, this is going to happen. And you got other folks standing around. Scare tactics, just scare tactics. It's not going to happen. Here's the deal. We're approaching August the 2nd. Okay? Now, according to Geithner, head of the Treasury, according to Bernanke, head of the Federal Reserve, according to, all this is very possible right here. So the question is, do you want to gamble on it? Do you want to gamble that we can get past August the 2nd and not drop our bond ratings and all the rest of it, and interest rates on automobiles, homes, food, everything go up, because your rating has been lowered because you have defaulted on a just debt? Oh yes, but we're going to change it 2 days later. It makes no difference. The rating is down. You defaulted.
You're right. Who's to say that isn't the plan right there, the one world order? That's the shadow scene.
Most of these guys are part and parcel of this plan for a new world order, but I think these guys are scared 24 hours a day of what they see taking place, because they got the Tea Partiers and they got the Republicans, and they are intractable. They are immovable. And they've said, go ahead, collapse the thing. As though it were the decision of one person, i.e. the president, to do it. No. It will be the decision of all who are sitting there with the power to do something about it. And I believe we're looking at the Tower of Babel in confusion. That's my personal opinion. And I believe God is going to allow it to happen to get this process underway. Not the devil, God. That may or may not make sense. Here we are, June 6th, a little nearer. 30 days ago, warning, sinking bank stocks spell big trouble. Once again, it's Martin Weiss. Well, we know what the heart monitor looks like, and let me go to the next slide with you, because this is 30 days ago, folks. Okay? Now you can look down this list right here and do this. Whew. I don't think Colorado's in there. You guys are on Easy Street. Let's look who is on the list. You know, when the bottom dropped out, September 14, 2008, 15, Lehman Brothers went by the way. Personally, I think J.P. Morgan's about to go by the way. They sold hundreds of millions of ounces of silver, and they got like 30 million ounces on hand. And when times get tough, the people that bought it in good faith are going to say, send me my silver, and Uncle JP ain't got none. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, U.S. Bank, SunTrust. Uh-oh. When I saw that one, I swallowed hard right there. Alabama, D-. 3 or 4 days ago, before leaving on this trip, I needed to go to the bank, and I went and got skint, and then I went to the bank and got skint again, but anyhow. Regions Bank in Clanton, Alabama is the Regions in the county, though there are some branches. They look like they're on the way out. But Regions Bank in Clanton, very, very familiar, not only with that office, but the people there for years. And they know us when we walk in the door. Oh, there's the IBE people. Okay? So I went and got a haircut, and I went to the farm store, got some seed, and I went to the bank. Now, this is a Wednesday morning. I can tell you that it was 11:10, thereabouts. I've been in that door, if not dozens, if not hundreds, dozens of times, all right? I walked in, and I was the only client in the bank. Well, what is this? Is this a... No, it's no holiday. Then I start looking around, and there are usually 4 tellers here and 2 at the windows, drive-up windows. And then there are all these offices, and there's the receptionist desk, and there's no one at the receptionist desk. There are 2 tellers, and they're handling the drive-up windows and the walk-up windows. And there's 3 employees over here. So when I got home at noon, I said to Judy, Judy, I'm going to Texas. And I'm going to Denver. And when we come back, if there's any offering that comes back, I want you to drive to Clanton. I want you to go to People's Bank, because People's is a little one-horse bank with a AAA plus rating. And I don't want you to drain the account at Regions, but I want you from now on to start making deposits in a new account. No announcements, no panic or fear showing on anybody's face, but I want you to do it. We're going to talk about you in just a minute. You're in good shape. No worries, they say in Australia. Market strategists, June the 1st, we're on the verge of a not Great Depression, but great. See, there was a time when doomsayers were called doomsayers. They're not called doomsayers anymore, they're called experts. Yes or no?
Yeah.
By the way, I saw the personal interview with Craig Smith the other day. Did you happen to see it?
He's encouraging, isn't he?
Man,
That $6,000 an ounce.
that's the the straightest I've ever heard him talk.
And $4,000 stock market. Yes.
What we got right now is almost near panic going on with money managers and people who are responsible for money, he says. I don't want anyone to come here today or go away from here today thinking, well, that guy is here to scare the pants off of us. That is true. I mean, I'm here to... They do that in the airport, you know. once again, June the 3rd. And I didn't make this picture up. It came over the internet. You see, what was supposed to happen was the jobs report for the month of May was supposed to come in, okay? And there was supposed to be 30-something thousand jobs, which didn't even keep us on a level keel. And when the report came in, it was like 53,000 jobs.
18.
Huh?
18,000.
18,000. You mean they've...
18,000 jobs. It was supposed to be 232. The actual report for May was 18,000.
And this is what came out. That half of those jobs that were created were flipping hamburgers at McDonald's, and they pay well.
And they overhired.
If Morgan Stanley is correct, about half of last month's job growth came from the venerable fast food chain. Hardly the sign of a healthy diet. We have just crossed from June into July, and we have a jobs report for June. I haven't even had time to see what the jobs were for June.
That was the 18,000 that I was talking about.
Oh, for June.
18,000.
Yeah, because I was thinking it was like 53,000 for May or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's called handwriting on the wall, guys. That's what it is. For wise people, it's handwriting on the wall. And we should recognize these signs, there's a whirlpool, there's a vortex out there, and we're on the edge of it, and it's going down. It's a black hole. Okay? Did I have another one? Yes. Here you go, Walmart. Our shoppers are running out of money. Walmart's core shoppers who live hand to mouth anyhow are running out of money much faster than a year ago due to rising gasoline prices. Retail giant is worried, the CEO says. Walmart shoppers, many of whom live paycheck to paycheck, typically shop in bulk at the beginning of the month when their paychecks come in. Lately, they're running out of money at a faster clip. I like Walmart. They have 200 checkout counters and 2 checkouters. I can buy everything that I want or need in Walmart in 10 minutes and stand in line to get out for 20, 30, 40. And the person in front of me, always their check bounces.
Or they have coupons.
Just a couple of choice statements. Interesting word right here. The work of the people of God is to prepare for the events of the future which will soon come upon them with blinding force. You know, the problem with this statement is it was written over 100 years ago. And all the folks to whom it was written are dead and gone. And these events of the future are still future. And blinding force is still future. Here's another. I see the necessity of making haste to get all things ready for the crisis. Usually we say, well, haste makes. But in this regard, at this time, in this matter, the clock is ticking, 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 backward.